make incredible music. I'm just like, it's amazing. So you tell me then, what music, you said you were listening to music when you're setting up and trying to create the boss battle. Theme, yeah, so what are some inspirational artists or theme songs that you like to draw from or get inspiration from?
Absolutely. So you know, some of the classics like I mentioned earlier, you know, Super Mario Brothers, anything related to like ragtime. I mean, they were the ones that made that a thing. The Sonic series, Sonic 3 is just full of jams. I mean, I think there's like a myth, or I don't know if it's like validated, but like Michael Jackson had something to do with that. And then when he heard the quality of the audio, he was like, I want nothing to do with this. And so they had to restructure the songs. But some of the ones in that are banging. And then,
I heard that rumor too about Michael Jackson. So
yeah, it's I mean, if you listen to the music, it's like, it's certainly plausible because of how ridiculous those tracks were, like how good they were.
Yeah.
And then you know, the ones from the Super Nintendo that really stand out is Final Fantasy series, like Final Fantasy 3. Chrono Trigger is a huge one. Almost every single one of their songs on that is like iconic. Earthbound, another
Earthbound, yes.
And that like brought the jazz and like really left field, plunky, quirky stuff that I've definitely drawn from heavily in some cases. Yeah, I mean, I think I would say that those are probably and Pokemon probably, yeah, for sure. Like,
I'm surprised how influential Pokemon music is. It's not my generation, but my son plays it, and it's just like I start watching streamers play Pokemon. It's like the music's really good.
Yeah. They kick butt,
it's rich, and it goes, you know, when they move to different areas, there's a specific theme to it that really pulls out the feeling of that town or that village or whatever it is.
Yeah, man. I mean, the scores on those, even though you know, it's plunky sometimes, like the compositions are no joke, you know. Like
I put out a thing on our Facebook and Instagram, and I asked people what are some of the music that they found inspiring or that they remember from their childhood. It was a GXW sound off. So we had a friend, Dan Veloso. He mentioned that he's all into Mario, Zelda. He put Zaxxon on here, and I was like, I played Zaxxon. I don't remember any music from Zaxxon. He had No Man's Sky, and then he had especially Doom and GTA, and that put me down GTA put me down a rabbit hole. The GTA London series, and there was a great soundtrack to that. I don't know if you guys remember any GTA music at all.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, Brett, go ahead.
Oh, no, my experience with GTA was like the more recent games where you could, you know, get a baseball bat, beat up a grandma on the street. You know?
Well, so I don't think it's changed much, sir.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things that I enjoy the most about the GTA series is the radio stations.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, they have the themed radio stations, so like being able to listen to like 90s West Coast hip hop. And there's a radio station for that. Pretty much it's a staple now. But then if you play the newer ones, they'll have like a West Coast station, then they'll have an East Coast station. And then they'll just have contemporary stuff. But I think like I really liked, I know it's not music related, but I liked the talk radio station in GTA 3. It was hilarious. But they also straight up had the soundtrack to Scarface as one of their radio stations in GTA 3.
Nice.
Yeah, it's so weird, but I mean, obviously Scarface isn't a huge influence on their video game franchise.
Oh, sure. Yeah, it was basically born from that.
Yeah.
From that idea.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's interesting though. When kind of the cross section between popular music and music that's known outside of video games, and then bringing it into video games. In fact, one of the things that I've been trying to be a part of is the monetization of video game music. I know that sounds kind of funny because I make it freely available, but I'm adding the goal is to get more value into the video game scores and to get video game composers paid for those. And a part of the method that makes sense to me and actually working with some AAA games and helping them monetize their music catalogs and protecting gameplay footage on YouTube environments, and creating like kind of clearance systems that are a little bit more sophisticated and check for these types of things in advance. The more you can monetize video game music, even on behalf of the AAA guys who do the buyouts, they hire a composer and then, you know, the composer gives them all the rights to the content for them to make the money off of. But if you can make them more money, if you can help monetize the video game soundtracks, it should, I think, by kind of raise the tide of all the boats. And well, if you know that you're gonna as a video game composer getting hired for a game, know that they're gonna actually not only have the music in the game for that purpose, but also be able to monetize it as a separate entity. That should help you negotiate a higher payment, right? Because there's more value, there's more long-term value to the music. And so that's kind of, I want to be more so this, but definitely this is one of my main kind of like life career goals, is to elevate the value of video game music, create the pipes and processes that are needed so that video game music can make more money, and through that also create like the rights configurations so that in the cases where video game composers can keep the rights to their content, that they do, because the lifetime value of that content, you never know what, especially if you make it available for people to use and license, you never know what game comes around and you know, popularizes one of your songs and brings more attention to you. So that's happened with me personally, with some games online that have had pretty massive success, and I got to keep the rights to the music. So when people wanted to listen to those songs, I'm able to monetize that. I'm able to stream that, you know, on Spotify and stuff. And so, yeah, those long-term, and you get to brag about it. You never have to have a game where, if you're able to hold the rights to your own music. Sorry, I'm kind of ranting, but I just wanted to relay this to any video game composers out there. Yeah, if you keep the rights to the content, you can monetize it perpetually. And when a game, a lot of video game composers suffer from the game is in development, you make a bunch of music for it, and the game never gets made. And because the deal was, well, it's theirs, it just gets shelved. And I see this on Twitter and other composers all grieving together about all the wonderful music that they created that can never be released because the game never got finished.
Yeah, I think it's happened recently in television in Miko. That's shutting down, and all these developers are making games, and it's most likely going to be going to bankruptcy.
That's terrible, right? Yeah. And then and if you don't have the rights to be able to control that content that you spent all that time on and care so much about, then yeah, you don't have that control, and you won't be able to get that out there. So I think that that's tragic, and I think that more video game composers should own their catalogs where possible, and the long-term benefit of that, being able to promote it, have it exposed to, you know, use big time syncs and all these other things, I think I'm hoping that that's the way it moves. And so I'm just trying to, from as many angles as I can, you know, get more money coming into the video game music arena, so that composers aren't perpetually at the bottom of the rung when it comes to, you know, what they're able to monetize.
I like what you mentioned. I know we're running out of time soon here, but I like what you mentioned about modern music coming into play now, because I play Fortnite. My son plays Fortnite, and they have a mixture of Fortnite's own music plus actual music. I hear from Rufus Del Sol all of a sudden appears up on the radio as you're driving the car, and there's been quite a mixture. And they're actually doing emotes with music from. Just name a person. Just recently, I think it was Kid Leroy, and so you're paying a little bit of money to have that emote with his song on it. But when streamers try to play online, where they're like typical gamer plays on YouTube or Ninja or whoever, they have to. There's a button on their thing to say they don't play the monetized music. So whenever they emote, you won't hear the Gangnam Style song. They can only emote to the songs that are owned by Fortnite. And I've been noticing a lot of streamers and video game content creators using old 8-bit or 16-bit music, and there's no real risk of losing monetization, because it seems to be more in the zeitgeist now, and it's almost like that 100-year rule of copyright, but it's not. It's a weird world of music that I'm glad you're on the show to talk about, because I've been very curious about how does this get monetized and how does this not, and people just borrowing music and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it's depends on what music is being delivered to the back end of YouTube system.
Mhm.
If that soundtrack is in there, then it will be placing copyright claims. If it's not, it won't.
Yeah.
But my goal, part of what I'm trying to do is to encourage people to deliver it so that they can monetize usages that they want, but also protect the usages that they want. So a lot of traditionally video game publishers have been very cautious about delivering it to like content ID systems because they don't want to affect the promotional opportunities with having a large influencer playing the game and promoting the game, right?
Right.
In the
Yeah.
link in the description, they can go download the game or etc. So I've actually created technology or design technology and had our team there's a product called licensees, and you can create a bunch of different copyright rules as we hear the music. Then we pass it through a system that says, okay, well, what do you want to do with it? And so you can create like, well, if it relates to the games, like the keywords in the tags, titles, description, or of the videos, okay, well, we know that that's related to this soundtrack, and we don't want to claim any of that stuff. But there could be some AAA guys that, well, they want to promote it and they want to protect certain channels, so they can submit channels that they want to protect and use these keywords. But there might be some versions of this, maybe when someone uploads the soundtrack, they don't want them to just monetize that. They want the video game publisher. If you're just going to YouTube to listen to the songs specifically, that should be something they should be able to monetize because it's their music. So there's nuances to these things that need to be configurable, and so I'm working on technology that allows that for those types of solutions.
That's
happen.
awesome.
So, it just depends on what they want to what's in the system. Yeah.
Before we wrap it up, I also want to mention Andrew Turner responded to our GXW sound off. He, thewalkingdead.ca, he mentioned Contra and Silver Surfer from NES. And I was like, Silver Surfer? And I went back and like, he's right. This is really good stuff. It's meant for a guitar, but it's all 8 bits. So check out Silver Surfer, and then check out some of the guitar songs made to sound like the Silver Surfer theme. It's really good. I was quite surprised. So good call on that, Andrew. We're going to wrap it up here. So please, Brett, tell us, where can we find you, upcoming projects, where can people check out your music, all that sort of stuff.
Cool. Yeah. Well, you can get and use all the music from the Heatley Bros catalog at my YouTube channel, which is just under Heatley Bros, royalty-free video game music. So definitely go have a look at that. Up and coming projects, kind of diversified a little bit. I'm doing a kind of experimental hip hop album with a good friend of mine, Mikey, from Mikey's Imaginary Friends. It's completely off of the video game environment, but it's sounding really good. We got a full album, full concept album, so that should be coming out around the summertime. I'm also working on the boss theme right now, which should be coming out in the next month or two. I'm working on a series for Heatley Bros to actually begin the journey of the story and the characters going through games, and
Like a story series?
a full-on thing. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay. So that's what I've been seeing you tease.
Yes.
That's awesome.
That's where this is all going. So I'm very excited about that, and really nerding out on the backstory of it and getting all the pieces, everything making perfect sense, at least for me. And then actually I thought you guys would be interesting is I'm working with my uncle on a piece related to Top Gun. So he is a F-14 pilot, or was a F-14 pilot, a Tomcat pilot, one of the best in the business in the Navy, went to Top Gun, and was actually the only guy who ever was able to he was a photographer and an ace pilot, and had taken shots from the cockpit, and they're very famous. They're all over the Navy, kind of in pictures on the boats and in the museums and everything. And that's what Tony Scott, the director of Top Gun, saw in the middle of a spread of a magazine back in 1983. And the picture was dubbed Star Wars on Earth. And it's a pretty famous picture, particularly in the Navy. And Tony Scott kind of like reached out and met up with my uncle, and my uncle ends up being in Top Gun, doing the aerial photography while he was in the Navy, because he's the only guy in an F-14 that could hold a camera and film that stuff. And so now awesome. That picture, that Star Wars on Earth picture that he took, has been made into a full-on from a master artist has painted it, and they're getting like 100 prints done. People are reserving copies in advance of the release, I think in April. And they're doing a video, kind of like a, what's the word, where it's a bunch of still shots in a row, and it shows that the guy's painting it over a long period of time. And you're, what's the name of that? The point is that there's a video, a big promotional video for this Star Wars on Earth picture, and I'm doing the score for it. So I'm actually making the music for my uncle's big thing, and so I'm really excited about that. It's like it's absolutely like a Top Gun, Tom Cruise vibes. Like
that's really cool.
But I'll be promoting that to my channel just to share it with them once that's completed as well.
Oh, that's awesome. And obviously the YouTube channel at Heatley Bros.
Yes, Heatley Bros. HeatleyBros, as you see.
Right there, yeah. And we'll put links to everything we mentioned here in our description below. Right. And as for us, you can find Steve at Shitspackle Bumpet Fart on Instagram, where he's doing cosplay and stuff. I should prepare a guest for that one, actually.
No, it's more fun if we don't.
Yeah.
And she's doing cosplay stuff, and he was on the red carpet for Mandalorian, which is really cool.
Great.
Anil, you can find him at Space Hindu 73. Just Google it. He's putting some pictures of his artwork for Topps cards every once in a while. And as for me, you can find me on the Outer Rim Rookie on our Generation X-Wing podcast YouTube channel, which you might be watching right now. Give us a like, give us a subscribe, smash that like button, as the kids say. We really appreciate it. We're trying to get to 250 right now. And for me, and on behalf of Jamie, thank you so much, Brett, for coming on the show. Really great, appreciate it. Thanks again for the hard work you do and for allowing me to use your music for some of our videos. I really appreciate it. In fact,
thank you for using
all the music that you hear on this episode will be straight from Brett himself. So I really strongly recommend checking it out if you haven't done so yet. It's a lot of 8-bit and 16-bit love. So thanks again, Brett, for coming on the show. We'll talk to you later.
You're more than welcome. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.